story, no matter how we do it, it's going to have its flaws. However, let's talk about the church story. So this is the one where you had just did a Honduras tour of 6 months. Just did a Honduras tour of 6 months. So,
are you talking about when I got saved?
So time come. Now, you go to church every day at work. That's your job. Your point of duty, your place of duty every day is in the church house, okay? But, so we gonna leave the church right here, but let me tell you how we got there. You come home from Honduras. Now, mind you, when you went to Honduras, our baby boy was 4 months old. You was on a 6-month deployment to Honduras, and I love this story. I love this story. I love this story because it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh my God. And listen, you are not the bad guy. You are not. Let me preface that by saying, Newmys J, you are not the bad guy. We were. And it's just that simple. Okay?
Yeah,
but this story right here. No, but this story right here though, I was still in it. Like I was still in it to the point where if you had told me, and I tell you this all the time, Yashika, we going to the moon this weekend. Okay? Listen. I don't like how many times have I told you the story about going to the moon?
Probably a million.
Okay, and the story of going to the moon is this. If you had told me, Yashika, we going to the moon this weekend, have our kids packed and everything. Now, I would have been in the back of my mind saying, I know damn well we ain't going to no moon. But if this motherfucker tell me to have these kids packed, I'm going to fry some chicken, I'm going to make some sandwiches. I'm going to get some blankets and stuff. I'm going to get all their electronics and stuff because they had them little handheld things and stuff. We're going to be on the corner waiting for the spaceship to pick us up. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm like, listen, children, if your daddy said we going to the moon, we going to the damn moon, don't you doubt him. That was where I was at with it. So when you came back from Honduras, right, and when you was in Honduras, it was one of those things where I still was in that mode, like anything you say, because you know the hood in me is like, okay, like we ain't got that kind of money.
Let me stop you for a second. What made you believe in it so much at that point? That what I would say was gold.
Because as my husband, right, my job is, remember, my motto for always was a man has 2 things: his anatomy and his pride. Right? That's what I'll always say, what I'll always tell you. A man only has 2 things.
All right.
And so as a wife, I cannot threaten either one of those things. So threaten those things look like me, and mind you, that's it. Your anatomy, you know, I normally say the D word, your anatomy, but those things are coupled in so many different ways. Like in other words, even when it came to, you know, in the bedroom, or when it came to, you know, how I saw you, you know, because you're measured by that in a lot of ways, right? And so even I know you had certain things about things that you were like, okay, the best way I can say it is you prayed for our son to be tall because of maybe some things that you were going through, right? In terms of what you wanted in life. And so our son is 6'2", 6'3", I don't know, he's big as shit, right? You know, and so I knew that. So when it comes to your anatomy, even that is kind of tied into it. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're measured that way in a lot of ways. You know, and so as your wife, my job was to make sure that I didn't violate or any kind of way take away from those things that you that made you who you were, regardless of anything else. A man has his D and his pride. That's it. And so I'm not going to threaten either one of those things. Not as your wife. My job is to encourage you because, see, I believe that I'm so good that if you say we going to the moon, honey, I'm going to support you. Why? Because if you say we really want to go to the moon now, I can figure out how we can get to the moon. Okay, it might take some work, you know what I mean? But if you already had the plan, then I'm not gonna mess with it. But what I'm saying is that as your woman, I felt like, and I'm gonna let you speak, as your woman, I felt like with my help, you can do anything you wanted to do.
Okay, I get that.
Okay,
I get that, and I think that's what a wife is supposed to be, and a man is supposed to be to his wife. It's just that ultimate support. But the reason I asked that question, what made you believe that? What I would say is gold. I think you gave me the answer. You're my husband. I support you.
Right.
I believe in what you say and do. And we had our roundabouts with different things. But I think ultimately when it came down to the decision making of the house, you always looked at me. I may not had all the answers. I may not had all the things together, because we would make the decisions together at the end of the day. And I think that's what bonded us together more so than anything else.
Absolutely.
You allowed me the opportunity. And a lot of times I didn't have the mindset or the wherewithal to think through that process.
Right.
But we did it together, because I will always come back to the table and say to you, hey, let's figure this out together.
Now, because of my mind, because, you know, and I hear a lot of men say when it comes to women who have their, like, you know, I don't want a woman to be this way and I don't want a woman to be that way. But I think that those are the things that men maybe talk about later on in life, that they don't want a woman that's, you know, this way and that way, like aggressive or whatever, or speak their mind. Like they want more women that are more passive, right? More just, you know. And so, but at the end of the day, that's also what attract you all to us, because you already know that I got your back. So in other words, I'm only going to let you tell us we're going to go to the moon so many times.
But no,
before I'm like, hold up now. We're not going to the moon now. I need you to hurry up and do something different now. I'm tired of frying chicken.
I don't necessarily think that's it. It takes a different mentality to look at a strong black woman in the shoot, because you challenge us in so many different ways.
But you also trust me, though.
I do trust you with that.
That process. And so that was one of the things that I wanted you to have your whole autonomy. But then you had to also remember that we were as a couple. So in other words, there were things that you wanted to do on your own that may not have involved me. Right. Now, I knew that no matter what you did over here, we always had our stream of income coming in, which was the military for us. Yeah. And so we had play money over here, and you know, we hustled to make sure we had play money. You know, we got stories for that. And so for us, it was just always one of those things that I felt like we had because I knew that military was a stepping stone to our forever. You know what I mean? It was a place for us to secure our futures without stressing over how we was going to pay our mortgage and everything and make sure our kids great, but it wasn't our forever. Right. And so for me, it was like, okay, what do we have after this? Because you and I both didn't want to just be identified by just that. It was just part of our story, but that wasn't the end of our story.
It's a huge part of
our story. Correct, but it wasn't the end of our story. And so yeah.
But when I look at the situation, though, and you're going to elaborate on the situation, yes, there's some things that, you know, may not have looked right, but, you know, we'll talk our way through them. But I think it ultimately, what you saw and what you thought was reality at the end of the day still was the marriage. It still was the commitment.
Yeah, because we didn't know what we were doing. We were figuring out like everybody else. But
go ahead and tell the story.
I'm going to tell the story.
And I don't know if all the story is true. I'm just going to let y'all know this out there.
Listen, this is from my foxhole. This is where I sat at that day. Now.
Okay, let's go.
It had to be around, I want to give exacts because it helps me. Okay? So it had to be, because our baby was 4 months when you left. So August, September, October, November, December. So you left around December, January of December of 2013 to January of 2014. So you were gone till about June, July of 2014.
Right.
Is when you came back from your 6-month trip to Honduras. Yep, Honduras. So I knew that was a third world country, okay? And so things were over there was really, really inexpensive, okay? And so, so when you came back from Honduras, I remember you even had a housekeeper. You was like, Yashika, she comes in here and she cleans my room and I pay her like $10 a month. It was some crazy price like that, okay? And let you tell it, you was always at the little game room gambling, okay? Because it was times when you called me, you'd be at the game room. And I'm like, okay, but mind you, there's other military people there and there's women there that are, hey, beautiful. I mean, it was Honduras. I mean, but with you, it didn't matter if they were beautiful or not, but they were beautiful.
I worked in the church, though, so I was a church-going guy.
That's exactly right. So you came back from Honduras around June, July, somewhere up in there of 2004. Okay. So when you came back, you're like, Yashika, I don't feel good. I'm like, Lord, my husband's dying. Oh, God, he's been in a third world country. Because remember, I'm still that girl that believed that if you said we're going to the moon this weekend, I'm going to support you. Okay, I'm going to support you.
All right.
Okay? So you say, I think I'm dying. Okay. So I said, well, oh God, let me get my husband to the doctor, because all I'm thinking about is, the tragedies of your parents and your. So I'm like, oh my God. So during this time, because this is 2004, we could still technically be, before HIPAA was like really a big thing, we could make appointments for our husbands and spouses and stuff. So I was like, Lord, doctor, I need my husband to get to the doctor because he's dying. I think he came back with the Ezekiel virus or something, or the mad cow disease. And somebody came back with from Honduras because they didn't give him the proper care, and I need my husband to get checked out. And then
he said mad cow disease. This episode said mad cow disease.
So time comes. I made you an appointment. So you went to the appointment on that Thursday. He took all kind of x-rays of you or whatever. They took blood. They took urine. They did whatever they needed to do to find us the answers. And I'm at the appointment with you because why? I'm your wife. Okay. So next thing I know, so this is how the church come into play. Yep. This is how the church come into play. So that Sunday, because we went to the doctor the Thursday. We had to wait till like that Tuesday, Wednesday of next week before we can get the results back of your test. However, that Sunday, we got to go to church. We go to church. We go to church as a family. Okay. And so we were in Missouri. Okay. So let's give specifics. Since we went to the church right outside. Remember, it was, So next thing I know, the preacher said, now you go to church, you go to work at a church every day, but this day right here, now you listen to a chaplain every day, but this day you was just in it, right? You said, Lord, man say, anybody who want to give their life to the Lord, when they feel like they want to come to the altar.
Okay.
Come on to the altar. Next thing I know, you get up and you're in full-blown tears. Lord. And I'm talking to the kids like, I think your daddy's dying. I'm like, he's gonna be okay. Cause Tweet Tess like, why is daddy crying? BJ ain't even a year old, so he don't know what's going on now. I don't remember if Shanae was there or not. But I'm like, don't worry about it. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna save him. He got me. So the man, you go up to the front, the man lays his hands on you. Okay. Sunday, we have Sunday dinner, whatever. Tuesday, doctor says, hey, got all your results back. Okay? We get to the clinic. Skirt. You at work, I'm at work. It's like Tuesday or Wednesday. So we're in there. So I'm like, does my husband have high blood pressure? Does he have the Ezekiel virus? Does he have the mad cow disease? What is going on with my husband, doctor? So in the middle of that, my husband at the time, Newmys J, stops everything and says, what was the results of my HIV test?
Did I say that? I didn't say that.
The doctor looked at me and I looked at him. He says, it was negative. And even he knew you had just screwed up. Okay?
I don't remember.
So I know you don't. Because you didn't care about nothing else. You didn't care about no Ezekiel virus. You ain't care about no high blood pressure, no cancer. You didn't care about none of that.
Cancer running in my family.
That's when that was my concern, but that wasn't your concern.
That was my concern.
No. All you was worried about, the doctor said,
it
was so. Here's the thing, and I remember it so specifically because me being who I am, I was like, oh my God, because now I got to, so that's all we hear about. So I'm thinking to myself, so I remember a week later, right? Because remember, you had just not came back from deployment. So we still hadn't had a lot of time together, right? So, since you had been back, because remember, our baby, not even a year old yet, I'm still on the trail with the drill sergeant. So I still got long hours. I'm in school, my degree. I done held down these kids while you over here having a good old time in Honduras. You know what I'm saying?
I was not having a good old
time. I'm just, you had a housekeeper. You had more than I had at the time, okay? And so, I remember so much even leading up to that. However, what I do remember is I didn't say anything for that moment. I didn't. I waited until that following weekend, which was that following weekend, because we went to the doctor like that Tuesday or Wednesday. That following weekend, Mama was like, hey, y'all can go hang out in St. Louis, because we would get hotel casino vouchers and we would go hang out at the casino because that was our pastime. And so we went to Harris in St. Louis. And I remember we were on the drive there, and I turned to you and I said, listen, don't think that I allowed what happened at the doctor to slip by. I said, understand this, you and I will never engage in sexual activities without a condom ever again. And that was the beginning of the end of our relationship.
So you thought that's what you're saying?
I think it was the beginning of the end, because in my mind, that meant that, in my mind, I felt that whatever you did, you didn't put me first again. Because you already know that this is a country where women are, and I'm not, whatever the case was. And I'm just like, dude, like, did the condom break, or did you not have a condom? Like at least you could have protected, I just had your baby 4 months. I mean, what I'm saying to you was, for me, up until that point, I'm so glad that we're here, because it's such a, I get to, because me and you've never talked about these things in depth like this. And so how I reflected on it, right? But I just remember me saying that to you in a way where, because there were so many things that was happening prior to that I never felt protected by you. I always felt like I was replaceable really easily. And so this just goes into how I felt. Now, whether or not that was your intent, this is just how I felt. And maybe I did a piss poor job with communicating this to you. And maybe I communicated how I knew how, and maybe you weren't able to receive. Maybe it was a combination of everything, right? But what I do know is, in those moments, I was like, that means that I can never be that intimate with my husband, because that means that you have provided intimacy with someone else on a far different level. Because now you have said, forget everything. I'm willing to jeopardize life. Because if you came back and all you were concerned about was your HIV results,
that was not what was all I was concerned with.
I'm not. It's
You're
not
giving your version of it.
And this is, and I'm telling you how I perceived it. Because in my mind, you were only gone for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So even if that caused you to have worn a plastic bag from head to toe, right? Because remember, leading up to that, you came home for R&R. And I rented a whole hotel suite, and you couldn't even perform that weekend leading up to that. So remember, this was the halfway point in Honduras. So now here you are full time at the 6 month mark, because you were going 6 months. They gave you 3 months R&R. At the halfway point, I came home. You came home. I had lost all the weight back from our son, and I had already had my tummy tuck. So in my mind, I'm getting myself back to the way I looked for me and my husband and for my career. Mm-hmm. So you came home at the 3 month mark, and I got us a hotel room, a suite in St. Louis at the Harris Casino. Okay. At this point, our son is 7 or 8 months old. And because I had my surgery in February of 2014. Okay. Right after Valentine's Day. 2004, right after Valentine's Day. I had my surgery to get rid of the fupa that I had with our son. And so, because of my job depending on it, everything. So I had surgery 2004, February. So when I got the hotel suite, we were at the casino, Harris Casino, St. Louis. Mm-hmm. You had just come home from flight. Mama had the kids. We were at the hotel. That when you came in from Honduras for your R&R, we were at the hotel. We never even went home first. That night, I had everything what I thought, and you couldn't do anything. So what did we do? We did what we do. I got back dressed, and we went downstairs, and we gambled. And that's how we spent our time coming home. You coming home for R&R. And then 3 months later is when you came home and you thought you was dying.
No, I didn't.
That's my story, honey. And you already know that's how it happened, Newmys. But tell me your version of it, honey. Because I want to hear your version of it, too. Mm-hmm.
My version is, I ain't going to say a whole lot different, but it's different than what your version or the thought process, what you were going through. Mm-hmm. At that time, I think our relationship was okay. It was not.
I had just had your son.
Okay, you just had my son.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was. You know what? I'm sorry. This isn't the 51-year-old me talking. That my bad. Retract that. Okay. Disregard that I had just had his son 4 months before he went to Honduras. So I was still in my feelings.
That.
I was in my feelings still. I was still emotional. I may have had postpartum. I don't know, because 6 months after that,
crazy? What about
6 months after having our son, I still had to go back on the trail. I gained 87 pounds with our son, and I got to get back into my uniform because the military, my job depended on it. So and then I got these other kids at home, and you know what? Let me stop. Go ahead.
There you go. Let her stop, because she told her person this. She said she gonna shut up.
My bad.
But she coming back again.
My bad. I just wanted to make sure we got that for editorial purposes. You know, that's the small print at the bottom. Okay, that's the small print at the bottom of a contract. Okay, go ahead.
But the big print at the top says that's not the whole factual story. So, yes, I came home from Honduras, especially during a mentor. A friend of mine.
Oh, God.
A friend of mine that gave me these pills. So, hey. You see?
Oh, it was the pill? But go ahead, let me let you tell the story. Shit, what kind of pill were they?
It was supposed to be an enhancement pill.
So it did the opposite on you? What the hell wrong with you? That's like when they say women take birth control, they better not take what is that? One of those, I'm saying, you know, when they say if women are taking antibiotics and they on birth control pills, then it will cause the antibiotics to knock out the
fertility.
Right, and they'll get pregnant. So people get pregnant. So what you're saying is
it worked in reverse.
It worked in reverse.
Yeah, so I took them when I...
We're going to go with that. Okay, now tell me your version of when you came home.
And I must say...
On midterm.
When I came home from midterm, you looked absolutely stunning. Everything was great. It's just when I took the pills, it didn't work. Like I thought it was going to work in reverse. So that's the truth. That's the real truth on that. And so when we got to the room, and
I haven't said nothing.
It's the way you look at it.
I haven't even looked at you. I'm sitting up here popping my gum, looking at my stockings and my beautiful red shoes, and thinking about my red shoes. But go ahead.
I'm telling the absolute truth on this story.
Okay, I'm hearing your version of it because I never asked you for your version, and I want to hear it.
Okay,
so it was the pill that did the opposite to you.
That's what happened. That's the truth.
Because I tell you. And I might have looked too good for you.
That's what it was.
You know what I mean? I want to help you here because remember, your anatomy and your pride is all you got. So at that time,
you were just overwhelming to me.
Yeah, it was like I can't handle this woman.
Yeah,
like what she been doing since I've been gone. I can't handle this woman. This woman is too. What did I get myself into? How did I think I could live up to her? Oh, and I done gave him a son too. Jerry knew my third. Oh, baby, I'm winning. I was winning, and you was like, you know what?
I couldn't handle it.
You couldn't handle it because see, the women in Honduras really needed something from you. Is that what?
I didn't cheat.
Oh, you know what?
I was a good husband,
and so I believe that. Okay. I believe that and I even saved you money while you were gone.
A lot of it too.
I saved you money while you were gone. I paid your bills off, made sure that any bills you had, although you was out there, according to you, you were screwing off money because you were gambling.
Stop. Listen to what I'm trying to say to you. You as a wife, what you did for our family can never be underestimated. It was top flight. The things that I was not even good at, you were excellent and great at. The way you would handle our finances. I would bring the check home to you and I wouldn't even ask where it went. Because I know you're going to do the right things in that aspect. So there's no need to even say that's what it is. That's what it was.
Right. And so here's where we are now. And I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, but let me finish the story. You want to keep on talking
my bad.
Let me
I didn't know we were still
there.
Go ahead. You know what?
So I should have took that route and just got out of it. So go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I need you because you talked about the 3-month mark. And I'm sorry for it because, you know, I'm sorry, my ADHD chopped. So you talked about the 3 months.
So you understand that, right?
So it was the pill did a reversal on you, kind of like when women take. What did I say they take? In the birth control, and they take antibiotics, and it does the reverse. I got that part, and then on top of that, I was a lot of woman, and here I was snatched. You understand what I'm saying?
So,
I hadn't got my stomach done.
Will you stop it and let me say what I'm gonna say? I know you did all these things.
The 3-month mark. So now, what happened when you came home at the 6-month mark?
When I came home and I finally came home from Honduras, I was feeling kind of
sick,
and I think I got yellow fever or something. It was something like that.
It was something like that.
Because I was pretty sick.
You were.
And so I didn't know what it was, but it wasn't because I was, out there cheating and stuff.
See, because in my mind, what I had made up in my mind, especially at the 3-month mark, what I had made up in my mind, like for real, is that, and this is where, women, I don't know if all women do this, but I know I did. And so, we start to catastrophize. So in my mind, at the 3-month mark, right, I'm glad you clarified your story.
Okay, because stop. I don't need you to clarify me.
Okay, so because in my mind, what I'm saying is I'm glad you told me your version, because I'm going to tell you what happened in my mind. Is that at the 3-month mark, you had been so free love in Honduras. You were so exhausted from the free love. Because love was cheap over there, okay? Because it was a third world.
So you said it was expensive over here.
So you were just like tired by the time you got to be in the 3-month mark. And that's why you couldn't perform. So I'm glad that you told me it was because of the pills. Because in my mind, he was exhausted, right?
So you were wrong. So, but
I'm glad you clarified that for me.
Okay, just stop. Let me finish the story.
Okay. Oh, my bad. My bad.
It ain't no fun situation.
My bad.
Tell my side of the story.
My bad. I didn't let you
So we can
finish.
clarify this so America don't think that I'm all jacked up.
No, listen, you are an amazing father.
Yeah,
you are an amazing father.
Can I finish the...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so when I came home at the 6-month mark, I did feel sick. And it was not due to...
yellow fever?
It may have been yellow fever or something. I don't know. You know, I was in a third world country. So, but I had not, you know what I'm saying? I had not stepped out.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Why you saying it like that?
I didn't say anything because I had just had your son and you wouldn't have done that.
I wouldn't have done that. No. America, I wouldn't have done that.
Okay.
So you know that. So,
that's right.
Now y'all know, but I did feel sick. And yes, I was concerned because Yashika and myself has had a roller coaster type relationship. And I know at that time guys were looking at you and and you're a free spirit too.
I'm very free spirit.
And ain't like you was,
I'm very
see what you winking your eyes.
Hey honey, get into it. All you think you need to.
So and we had incidents, all these lover boys at the drill sergeants and shit. They coming up making videos and DVDs and stuff with all this love music. So she won't tell y'all that. She ain't gonna tell y'all that. Yeah,
they made me a DVD. Said DVD. Like I'll put you a DVD together.
Yeah, that's what it was.
In your car. It was some soul music. It was some R&B.
What this dude making you a DVD for? All this slow music. Come on now, y'all know what time it is. Our men know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. You go sit there and play that game like you don't understand game.
Hey, I'm here for it. Listen.
And so let me tell you an incident that happened. After the Honduras thing, one of her drill sergeant friends, he get caught sleeping with privates and stuff, right? I don't even remember the guy's name.
Don't say no names, but go ahead.
She in there falling all out. Oh God, what happened here? Oh, I said, if you don't get your ass up off this floor, for this rapist ass dude that's out here preying on these privates, I was mad as hell. They like, what's your wife falling all out like this for? It's craziness like that happens.
You are so exaggerating.
You didn't fall out. I ain't had to come pick you up. Y'all help me. Y'all help me with her. You gonna tell me that didn't happen?
Jerry, okay. So you're asking me a question.
Go ahead.
Was I emotional about it? Absolutely.
What was you emotional about it for?
Because I was like, oh my God, because
she fell out of America.
Right, and so he was a drill sergeant in our company, and he was being charged with this, and he was going to jail and all these things. And so in my mind, oh my God, there's no way he did this. Because he's just such a good... So it was emotional for all of us. Because I wasn't like... It was male and females that cried about it. Because this is one of our battle buddies. And one thing about
I ain't
drill
seen no men in
sergeants.
there crying. They
No,
looking at him
because
like, what a
like
fool.
you remember, like I'll tell you the name, but yeah, it was a whole thing. But of course, they handled it different because you remember it's 5 or 6 of us that's at a company. We're with each other 18 hours a day, up to 18 hours a day, and so it was like.
So let me ask you a question.
So
did none of y'all notice what this man was doing?
No, because what I mean, it's not about him, but it all happened before she got there. So it was before she got to us. But because he was a drill sergeant still, you know what I mean, then it's not supposed to happen. You know what I mean? But what happened was pretty much she graduated from one part, came to our post, or however it was went, I can't remember. He saw her at the club, they hooked up that night. 2 days later, she comes to his company and, hi, I'm y'all drill sergeant. I know him. So now she like, hold up, I just was with him, a couple of days ago. So now she got leverage on him, and it's a whole thing because that's how, but that's not what we're talking about. So what I'm saying is, in our mind, we didn't see him doing that, but he knew the rules because in that world, first of all, you a drill sergeant, you're not supposed to hang out around the area. They tell you that in all the things. And so, but we felt like he was being bamboozled because we didn't know that story. He said he didn't know her. We believed him. And it was just because, we just wanted to believe him because he was our battle buddy. And so anyway, and I can understand how as a husband that looked on me, right? And 100%. But that particular drill sergeant, there was nothing. He was just one of our, like, literally. But I can see how if there was any type of ripples in our relationship, right? Because what I do know is, if you look for something, you will find something, right? And so because of the ripples in our relationship, I'm sure you just needed a reason.
A reason for what?
Honey, you just needed a reason.
That was not what I needed a reason.
Because he was like, I mean, and it's not about anything about him, but that dude was like new there. And it was one of those things where it was like, you should have known that I would have done that. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, and it's not anything against him. It was just, in my opinion, I felt like you were looking for stuff and that, but listen.
I got to scrape you up off the ground.
Listen, you are so exaggerating.